Thanks for being here. This is the fun session, so you've all selected correctly. Yes, amazing. My name is Bree Groff. I am the author of the book Today Was Fun, a book about work, seriously. I am a senior advisor to the Global Transformation Consultancy SY Partners, formerly the CEO of Nobel Collective, and I am a human who normally has a really good day at work. So this is a session about fun, a serious session about fun at work. And I thought, maybe we should have some. So, has anyone ever played the game, Never Have I Ever? Yes. Okay, so maybe you'll remember it from like an 8th grade sleepover. The way it goes is that you'll put up some fingers. Everyone says some sort of scandalous thing you may or may not have done, and if you've done it, you put down a finger. But instead of doing like who's made out with their crush, because maybe you're married to your crush now, I don't know, less scandalous, we are going to do, this is our topic, totally normal things that should not be normal. Work edition. All right. So if I could have everyone raise 5 fingers, we'll begin. Put down a finger if you have ever made it to 4 p.m. without eating lunch because I was too busy working. Woken up and looked at email before looking at the partner or animals in bed lying next to me. Woken up in the middle of the night, worried about work. Kept a good idea to myself because I wasn't sure how it would be received. Felt like I had to act or speak in a certain way at work to be taken seriously. Anybody out already? Yeah, okay. You win. You win like a hug and a nap is probably the correct prize, but we'll keep going. Canceled or never scheduled a doctor's appointment because I was too busy. Looked at my work and realized I wasn't actually doing anything bold or interesting. Seen my partner or friend or kid as a distraction from getting back to work. I won't tell, it's okay. Said, is it only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? We call that Blur's Day. And chosen to be high performing over happy. If you don't have many fingers left, you are so normal, and you know that. Right? This is the state of work, and I feel you. I have been there. Some days I still am there. And yet collectively, I think and believe we can do better. But before we dive in, let's just back up and think about what is this thing called work that we are trying to solve. Take a second and think about your definition. Now, my mind first goes to paid labor. And then I think, unpaid labor is still work, very much so. I think about the French word for work, travail. The English word travail translates into painful or laborious effort. And then I think back to when I was 24 years old, living in Pasadena, teaching high school physics, and teaching my students what has become my favorite definition, that work equals, does anyone know, any physicists in here? Close, so close. Force times distance. It's simply some effort that makes a difference. And I love this definition because it's simple and judgment-free. It's just that, no more, no less. You'll note that pain is nowhere in this equation. Because we don't get paid because work is painful and people wouldn't do it otherwise. We get paid because we create value. The pain is entirely optional. The pain is actually in how we are working. Or in the words of the luminary Buddy the Elf, Anyone seen Elf? Michael, whose father is a chronic overworker, all he does is work. Buddy the Elf. But work is fun. Michael, not the way he does it. Which brings us to, how are we doing it? Let me take you back to February of 2022. I was sitting in Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center because my mother had been diagnosed with a terminal cancer. My father already had Alzheimer's, and I'm an only child. I remember this moment when I'm looking around the room, knowing that my mother and every other patient in there has been given a prognosis, knowing intimately that the oncologists working there are working for one thing and one thing alone, and that is more good human days. And as I'm lost in this sort of spiral of existential thought, my phone buzzes, and I look down. I checked in with a friend from work recently. Oh, how are things going? And the text says, things are good, but I can't wait for this week to be over. And I thought in that moment, we are doing it wrong. Mondays are not a renewable resource. And in fact, when we are wishing our way through the week, we are wishing our way through our lives. We do this routine where we say, oh, it's Monday. Is it only Wednesday? TGIF. And then you get 2 days before the Sunday scaries come and find you, and you have to get back on that ride again the next week. It struck me that we are just not valuing our days properly. After all, we don't sing to get to the end of a song. You sing to sing. And likewise, we shouldn't be living our lives to get to the end of the week. The living actually is the point. Now, I won't say that every day is fun currently, nor that it should be. Just most days should be fun. But there's a very simple train of logic that I can't deny. Over the course of our time on this planet, we will spend 1/3 of our lives working. Our lives, dare I say, should be fun. Ergo, work should be fun. And yet, so often it's not. Now, I'd like to get one thing out of the way before we go further. Fun is not the opposite of work. And when I say this to a lot of people, this does not compute. Oh, you've written a book about fun at work? Well, you must mean happy hours and offsites. But no, fun actually, you know what, I skipped this slide. Let me go back and tell you this. If you don't like the way you're spending your weekdays, you don't like the way you're spending your life. But there is the opportunity, here we are, for this. Fun is how you do great work. Employees, when they're engaged, produce companies that are 17% more productive, 21% more profitable. Even having a best friend at work is highly correlated with performance outcomes, including safety, profitability, inventory control, go figure, and of course, retention. And you know what? Sometimes we don't even need the data to know this. When I can imagine for you, and often for me, when I am most excited about my work, when I am having fun, I'm doing a good job. We can also look to some of the most brilliant minds of our generation. Take the famed mRNA researcher Kati Kariko, whose work led to the development of the COVID-19 vaccines. Famously, when she would dash off to work, her husband would say to her, "You are not going to work. You are going to have fun." Or take the legendary designer Milton Glaser of I Heart New York fame. Anyone know him? He was asked in an interview at age 87 why he kept working. And he responded, "I do it because it is so pleasurable for me. I derive this deep, deep satisfaction that nothing else in my life, including sex, has ever given me." Now, if that is not a strong recommendation for fun at work, I don't know what is. So, what I'll offer you is a worldview here. If we should be having fun at work because it's actually good for our work and for business, because even more importantly, it's valuable for the way that we're spending our lives, how do we go about making it so? This is a worldview that says most days of our lives, we deserve to curl up in bed and think to ourselves, today was fun, even on a Monday. Now, I've been very lucky to spend almost now 2 decades into my career peeking into dozens of different organizations. I've worked with dozens of different clients, interviewed hundreds of employees over that time on their experience of work. I've also led my own consulting teams, dozens of those as well. And I know how to have a good day at work, and I know how to create teams that have good days. And so I sat down and I said to myself, what's the pattern recognition here? What are the things that these teams have in common when they're having great days? So I'm going to share with you 5 rules for better days at work. After that, we're going to get a little bit reflective and then super practical, because I'm still a consultant, I guess, at heart, so we need to know what to do on Monday. But first, number 1, most work, most days should be fun. Now, we are given lots and lots of input about what our relationship with work should be. And maybe you'll recognize some of these points of view. On the one hand, we have work is called work for a reason. It's a means to an end, something to endure. It's a transaction. To think otherwise is to not live in reality. And then, ready for the pendulum swing? Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Right? And that's kind of attractive in its own right. Like, oh, but is that now going to be my identity, my calling, my purpose? And frankly, some people feel this way. Good work if you can get it. And yet I see 2 problems on this end of the spectrum. One is that this is a super high bar that most people make themselves miserable trying to achieve. And secondly, if you do feel this way, that all of your life's fulfillment comes from your work, well, then the logic goes, why are you doing anything else? Why are you sleeping, having a family? Isn't the impact more important? It's a recipe for burnout. So I would like to offer a middle way, a third way. And it's very simple. Maybe work can just be fun. Maybe it's no more than a nice way to spend our days on the planet. Maybe it's a career's worth of just like mostly really good days. And is that enough? I think it's plenty, actually. Because when we falsely equate struggle with greatness, we have guaranteed that we are happy or successful, but never both. And I disagree. Number 2. Yeah. You know what? I get this question asked a lot, and I'll tell you why I don't like to define it. I appreciate the question. And part of me is like, Bree, just like make a definition. The reason I don't always like to define it is because it's a visceral, felt, personal experience that usually we can tell when we're having fun. You can almost always tell when you're not having fun. It's that sense of, and here I go defining it. But I think the reason why I don't want to give a formal definition is because it's personal, and different things will light different people up. You are a chief of staff. You're like, let's get down to exactly what we mean here. I invite you to answer it. Do you have a, yeah? Hmm. Sure. Oh, what's your definition? Mm, yeah. I love the embodied take on it, right? Because a lot of times, right, so much research to say that your body actually tells your brain, like your brain is like, body, what are you feeling? Like you feel the adrenaline, you're like, oh, I'm scared. But that embodied sense of like, I feel relaxed or energized. Some people will find fun in looking at a beautiful photo, and it's not like fun, kind of fun, but it's like a pleasant kind of fun versus a roller coaster kind of fun. But the embodied, I think, is very important. Thank you. Oh, we skipped the stretchy pants. Let's go back. Rule number 2, your brain works whether you are wearing a suit or stretchy pants. I am wearing my stretchy pants today for all of you. Somewhere along the way, we have conflated being professional with being well dressed and well groomed, which is not the same. Being professional just simply means doing good work on time that meets some objective. It says nothing about whether you're wearing a zipper at all. But this is more than just fashion, right? This is actually psychology. Work doesn't need to be a costume party. And yet, when most people get dressed for work in the morning, they put on their business outfit, and the final accessory that they need to feel complete is their business mask. It's that sense of buttoning it up and showing up in a way that is presentable and professional and palatable, which is a horrible word. Like, you're going to chew me up and I want to taste nice. Is that what palatable at work means? It's not necessary. And yet, I often hear, well, maybe if you work in a design firm or some innovation consultancy, you could be like cool and wear your stretchy pants. But like, look, we are in a very professional industry doing serious work that demands professionalism. Well, I have a counterexample. Let's take perhaps the most serious of all workplaces, which is the operating room. Dr. Peter Attia, author of Outlive, anyone read it? Yeah. He's a former Johns Hopkins surgeon, and he tells this story of back in his operating room days. He and his colleagues, instead of listening to music in the OR, which surgeons sometimes do, they only played clips of Napoleon Dynamite for a whole month. Now, if you don't know, it was like an early aughts fan cult classic kind of film. And he says when he tells this story, people get a little nervous, thinking like, would I want my surgeon listening to Napoleon Dynamite? And they asked, did it compromise the outcomes? And he said, no. In fact, there was a span of 3 days, they did 13 kidney transplants listening to Napoleon Dynamite, and everyone had a remarkable achievement outcome. So I say if surgeons can laugh in an OR wearing their stretchy scrubs, we can relax a little in our boardrooms. Number 3, shoveling shit is fun if you like your co-shovelers. The research on human happiness, the longitudinal studies, are very clear about what makes humans happy in the long run. One thing above all else. Anyone know? Exactly. It's just the relationships, which it both is like profound and also like duh at the same time. So if we are going to spend most of our working days with people at work, why shouldn't we like them? We should like the people we spend our days with. It's really not complex. I mean, what good is the strong bottom line if you just want to punch everyone around you all day long? A great example of this is the show The Office. I'd ask who's seen it, but that feels moot. In it, the imaginary organization Dunder Mifflin is a, what kind of company? Paper company, paper sales, which is the perfect choice because that is the dullest of businesses. Apologies to anyone in paper sales in here. But the point of the show was not to showcase purpose or meaning at work. And interestingly, it was not to showcase that work sucks. It was actually to show that even when you don't have purpose or meaning, work doesn't suck. And that is because of the people. That work is fun if we together make it that way. So let me be clear about my own personal point of view on this matter, because I realize it is not conventional wisdom. All I want is to spend my days with funny, creative, inspiring people. And while we're hanging out, a fun thing to do is to create value for others and money for ourselves. I am literally not optimizing my impact. I am not optimizing my income. By far, writing a book is kind of an expensive endeavor sometimes. I'm optimizing good laughs with good people because I value my happiness. I know what contributes to my happiness long term, and I'm not afraid to want that first. Number 4, make brilliant work. Don't let conformity and busyness sabotage you. We heard a little bit about this yesterday at the closing talk, how busyness gets in our way. Now, brilliant work, lest you think I'm all about fun and not actually creating something of value, brilliant work is fun. Now, it's great because, for all the obvious reasons, doing brilliant work will drive your business, will drive profitability, will create impact in the world. But I'd say even cooler than that is that doing brilliant work is one of the best parts of being human. The fact that we can contribute to the world, we are all just a bunch of big kids saying, like, look what I can do. Like, you want to do my idea with me? That's it. And it's beautiful that we can build this world together. Unfortunately, doing brilliant work is not easily done in a 30-minute meeting after you've had 6 others and you haven't eaten or peed in 5 hours. And it's troublesome because busyness, in particular, is many problems wrapped up into one. Busyness is a strategy problem. Now, you don't know what drives your business, so let's just do 17 different things and hope one of them does. It can also be a power problem. Your makers need time to make, but your managers need status meetings. And guess who has more power and managerial authority? So everybody's in the status meetings 30 hours a week. Or sometimes it's a psychology problem. Like we heard yesterday, busyness feels good because busyness means we are needed and valued. And it does not escape me that work can also be a salve for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, doing busy work, running around looking busy and professional, gets us at best to respectable looking work. But that's not the goal. Our friend Milton Glaser once said, there are 3 responses to a piece of design. Yes, no, and wow. Wow is the one to aim for. But wow requires spaciousness, where busyness is fight or flight. You're running from the bear. Wow, brilliance, that's sitting in the meadow dreaming about your new innovative shelter design. And frankly, brilliance requires some fun. It requires playfulness and experimentation and a little bit of mischief. And conversely, fun often requires some brilliance. I mean, if you've ever had a day at work where you said, oh, I think we're really onto something, this could be big, I'm guessing that was a really good day at work. And number 5, get good at life, not just work. The problem with work is that it is greedy. It is like an invasive species that will spread over your calendar, right? Take every little last pocket if you let it. And sometimes we let it. Sometimes it feels like, well, this is just what the job requires. I don't know what else to do. Sometimes that sort of all-consuming work feels addicting, invigorating even. But either way, there's a cost, and that cost can't be avoided, because when we spend more time working, we are by necessity spending less time on other parts of our lives. That comes out of some bank, and that bank is usually our health, crossword puzzles, our relationships, our sleep. In other words, when we overwork, we underlive, because there's no escaping human finitude. Now, unfortunately, our careers are well gamified. There are OKs, Rs, and KPIs, and promotion ladders, and performance metrics, and the next client to get. It's designed almost to lock us in and make us feel like this is worth getting good at, and that's a good feeling. But maybe it's just not the only thing we should be getting good at. Consider, for example, what would it take to get a promotion in sleeping? The sleep score is actually really helpful with the gamification, I will say. Or, how could I be an A+ partner? How could I be a senior hobbyist, say? Unfortunately, we get the message, I'll sleep when I'm dead, although our bodies would beg to differ. It's really easy to fall into the trap of delayed gratification, and it is a trap. Because when we're overworking and delaying gratification, we're not delaying gratification of a box of cookies. We're delaying the gratification of time spent with our friends and family, our health, enjoying the world around us. We sometimes forget that we are less important than we think to those who employ us or hire us. And we are more important than we think to those who love us. So what would it take to be a meets expectations employee, but an exceeds expectations human? All right. At this point, we have this. Our 5 rules for better days at work and life. And now I love a sassy rule with notions of stretchy pants and shoveling shit, but ultimately the philosophy is very simple. The work should be fun. It should feel human. We should do it with friends and make brilliant things as one part of a big and beautiful life. Now, I would love to say that fun at work is some innovation that's a way sexier thing to get on a stage and talk about, but it's not. It's really a returning, a grounding. It's a returning to that childlike feeling when you see somebody doing something and you're like, hey, can I try? It's a returning to the simplest definition of work I know, which is just some effort that makes a difference. And it's a returning for me personally to what generations before me have known. This is a letter my grandfather shared with me, written to him by his boss. Dear Andy, congratulations on this, your 30th anniversary with Ace Hardware. I'm sure it seems like you started just yesterday, but then time goes fast when you are having fun. And he really did. I knew my grandfather obviously later in his life, but he had work friends that were still close friends decades after retirement. And then my mom, who passed away later that year. She was a kindergarten teacher in room 109 of Hamilton Elementary School, Chicago Public Schools. She taught in that room for decades. And now she had her ups and downs at work like any of us, of course. But what I remember most is her coming home and saying, I have the best days, which is ultimately what I hope for us all. Thank you. Yay. We're past all the sad stuff, so we can go back to a little bit of fun. All right, so let's talk about what do we do. I have come bearing some gifts. This is our Oprah moment, okay? There's no cash or prizes, unfortunately, but you can go ahead and open those up. Now, we're going to have two parts to this exercise, a little bit interactive. And we are going to start with this card here. Sorry, it's not up yet. We're going to start with this step here. Know what lights you up. That's always step one of having a better day. We actually just have to know what enlivens us and what that feels like. And number two, we need a plan to go get it. So we are going to start with Light Me Up. So this is a user manual, a tool that I have used for every single consulting team I have ever led, dozens of them. I got the practice in grad school. Now, I use different questions for different teams, but this is a user manual designed to showcase what lights you up, what brings you joy at work. Now, hopefully, you're all here at this conference. I think you have probably a pretty good idea of it. We're just going to take a second and capture some things so that you can share with others. Now, at best, this tool is a communication tool. So I'll invite you all after I'll give you like 5 minutes to jot some notes down. And then, feel free to get started. And then I'll ask you to get in groups of 2 or 3 and share. I'll also invite you, take this back to the office or any collaborators that you work with, ask them to fill it out too. And then you can start to give some airtime to what actually brings you joy so that you can help each other find it. All right, we'll have a little awkward, quiet time. Non-awkward, it's gonna be great. I'll give you a few minutes to go ahead and write, and then when you are done, go ahead and look around and see if you can find 1 or 2 other people and share 2 to 3 answers from your sheet. All right, I see a few people starting to wrap up, so I'll give some next steps. If you're still writing, keep writing, all good. As I mentioned, you'll find a person or 2, groups of 2 or 3, to share a couple of your answers with. Could be any of them. And because some groups might take longer than others, when you have all shared, what I'll invite you to do next is fold your fortune teller. It's that yellow piece of paper in your envelope. The fortune teller has a variation on the questions that you are working on now. And if you don't know how to fold a fortune teller, somebody in here was a 7th grade girl once. And that person's going to help you out. If you need, I will help as well. So that can be like bonus activity when you're done sharing. But first things first, when you are about done, sort of glance side to side. And if your neighbors are also done too, go ahead and share with each other. All right, go ahead and finish up in the next minute. 1 minute left. All right, let's regather. What I'd love to do is hear a little bit about what you discussed. So go ahead and wrap up. All right. You're like having so much fun that normally this is easier. I need the cowbell. Thank you. All right. So I'd love to hear a few things. A couple hands. What did you learn about what lights each other up? Yeah. That's amazing. Dare I say you need to exchange numbers and text each other puns when you come across them. I love it. What else did you learn? Let's do another hand or two. Something that you learned that lights each other, or you're welcome to share one of your responses. Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's so hard. I'm going to take that one with me, that idea. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm overestimating the acoustics. We were hearing about the notion of retrofitting? Fitting? I don't know. An elevator into a disco. Disco lights, music. I don't know, you get a smoke machine, might be kind of fun. Yes. Yeah. Oh my, okay. So I do actually. Pick me. So let's move on. Let's go here next. Okay. Thank you. The next thing that we're going to do, now that we know or have written down what lights us up, let's make a plan to get it. So, yes, can I borrow this? Thank you. You're going to pull out this cute little guy, which is a habits card. I think it's super helpful when you're trying to adopt a new behavior or habit is to have something written down in a cute little convenient spot that can help remind you to do these things. So that's why it's wallet sized or pin it up on your desk sized. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to steal some of my ideas or come up with your own based on the 5 rules for better days. I'm going to walk through each of these because they're not all maybe immediately obvious. And what I ask you to do is write down 3 that you want to try out starting next week. Or, as I said, if you have something you've been wanting to try, write your own. Even better. Okay, so you can start writing as I start talking. So these are organized by the 5 rules: micro fun, micro mischief, connection, creativity, balance. These are practices to thin slice your joy. Sometimes we think about, especially if anyone's in HR or people leadership, it's like, oh, we have to overhaul this and do big, deep strategic change. Well, sometimes you just want to have a better day today and have a moment of joy. And that is a viable theory of change, that we thin slice our joy like prosciutto, perhaps. So here are some ideas. Micro fun. Keep umbrella picks on hand for your team's coffee or water. Could you imagine walking by a conference room, looking in, and everybody has umbrella drinks? You'd be like, I want to get on that team. They look like they're having fun. 2, take turns starting your meetings with your teenage music. There is nothing that is going to improve your day faster than the songs that came out when you were 18 years old. And it might just help defang ageism in the workplace. 3, start saying happy Monday, happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday, happy Thursday, not just happy Friday. If you are alive and it is a day, it is a happy day, I guarantee you. Maybe use Comic Sans in a presentation. See what designers you can make Twitch. Oh, I got one. Yeah, okay, great. If I declare a zipper-free workday, I don't know. Everyone has to show up in sweatpants or yoga pants or, scrubs, perhaps. 6, rearrange the furniture. I did this once. I brought into work a picnic blanket, and I was like, oh, team, we're going to have a picnic while we work. It didn't work out quite as I planned because people were like, I have a bad back and things like that. But anyway, it was the idea that counted, and facilities came by and they were like, no, we don't like this. But the fun that we had doing it and having a little bit of mischief made our day. Micro connection. Bring your fortune teller to a team lunch. Now you have a fortune teller. Bring it to your next team meeting. Send a love bubble telling someone you appreciate them. A love bubble is what I call a little 2-line DM. That's like, hey, you rocked that meeting. I was really going off the rails. You got everyone on the same page. I don't know how you did it, but you are a superstar. That's it. Takes 2 seconds. Maybe spend the first 5 minutes of a meeting learning everyone's pets' names. Now, when I first wrote this, I wrote pet names like Schmoopy, and that's not that HR friendly and maybe next level team bonding. So maybe sit with pets' names. Ask your team, what's the most hilarious solution to our problem? See what you get. Work from a park, get some vitamin D, take a colleague, get a iced latte. Add an Easter egg in a current project. It's like a little puzzle or joke. Taylor Swift is very good at these, if you need inspiration. Microbalance. Do one thing the slow way. Our bodies need to know not everything is a rush. I have started making a mocha pot in the morning. I used to have a little Nespresso where I just went boop, and now I make the mocha pot. Show up to work with wet hair if it means you can exercise in the morning. Half the podcasts I have done for the book launch was with wet hair. I kid you not. And you know what? Nobody cared. Or 15, one of my favorites, schedule a disappearing meeting for your team on a Friday afternoon. Okay, so here's how you do this. You put a mandatory meeting on everybody's calendars, and when they show up, you say, poof, meeting's gone. You have an hour to go fuck off. Take a nap, take a walk, do whatever you like. And now my favorite thing to call these meetings on the calendar is mandatory next action planning or mandatory nap. Yes. It's just a little extra fun. Yeah. All right. So 2 minutes. Go ahead and jot down 3 ideas you want to try. And then with that same group, just spend a minute or 2 sharing what you're excited about or share your own ideas. All right, a minute or 2 to write. That is so clever. I love the scent of baked goods. I don't know, could you, the scent of money? Come back to the, might work too. All right, I would spend all day here having fun with you all, but I should probably start to wrap us up. A few notes before final words. 1, thank you, friend, for wearing the pin. You have a little pin in there, which is also the cover of my book. I will say the books that were supposed to be on the table are deep in the underbelly of Macmillan's distribution system, which was very sad. So anyway, I'll pop a QR code up here if you're interested to get the book. And there's also a QR code out on those tables. But before we close, some final words. And that is, it's so important to do things like these because that's our agency. And I know so often it can feel like, and I have felt like, my days aren't even mine, that I've sold them to an employer or sold them to a client, and my pleasure is actually irrelevant on those days. But if we want to feel joy more than 2/7 of our lives each week, we have to learn how to feel it on our weekdays too. And so my final message to send you off with is this: no one is going to give us joy. We have to take it. Thank you all. I had a lot of fun.